Hi, second grade. Today we're going to work on day 10. Our topic is sensory details, and our objective is I can use sensory details in a personal narrative. Just like last time, we're going to use a text. This is again from Angel Child, Dragon Child, and it's on page 48 in your booklet. And we're going to be detectives and look for sensory details. There's 5 different senses. See if you can remember them. Those are what we're going to look for. Okay, one of them is see. Another is hear. See if you remember them. Touch, smell, and taste. As I read through this text, I'm going to see if I can find any of these sensory details. One day at school, small feathers floated past the frosty windows. Ooh, small feathers floated. I can see those floating past me when I read that. The frosty windows. I almost feel like I can touch it with my hands. The frosty windows. Mother, I whispered, this is snow. It makes everything soft, even the angry trees with no leaves to make them pretty. Oh, I love this description. The angry trees with no leaves. I can see the bare leaves, the trees with no leaves on them when I read that, to make them pretty. My fingers dance too on the desk. I can feel my fingers dancing on the desk when I read that. Desktop, while I waited for the bell. When it rang, I rushed out the door. Outside, snowflakes left wet kisses on my cheeks. Oh, I can feel that on my cheeks when I read that. Gee, hi, I called. Catch some. It disappeared, she cried. Okay, so now that I've done my detective work, I'm going to add these, make sure these are in my personal narrative. So to do that, we're going to go back to page 42, where are story sketches. And I'm going to look at my story and see if I have these things. See, hear, touch, smell, taste. And I'm really going to push myself to make sure that I can add more. Since this is the 3rd cycle for doing personal narratives, I want you to really push yourself to see if you can add more sensory details. Okay, well, I remember seeing the brown bear cubs, but I wonder if I can push myself to add more descriptions to them. Well, they're really furry. I didn't write furry in my story, so I'm going to say furry brown bear cubs. Furry brown bear cubs. And I want to push myself to find some more descriptives. I'm going to add a comma there since I'm having more descriptions. What about the trees? I didn't really describe them in my story. I think they were like pine trees. And I remember thinking how they were really full of green pine leaves. So I think I want to write that too. I'm going to say trees full of green pine leaves. Okay. I think I have really challenged myself to think of the things that I can see in my story. Now I want to think about what I heard. Definitely heard a lot of different things. I remember I heard the birds squawking, and the birds sounded loud and angry. So I'm going to write that down, loud, angry birds. Oh, the rustling leaves. I know I didn't put this sensory detail in my story. So I'm going to put that down too. Rustling leaves. I think that's a great detail that I forgot. I didn't really touch anything, just walking. So I don't think I can add any touch. Maybe you can add it to yours. Smell. Remember, I wrote the fresh cut wood. Of the new trail. But I wonder if I can push myself to add something more. Oh, the earthy pine smell. I know I didn't put that in my story. And I think that's a great detail that I forgot. Let's see, taste. I didn't really taste anything. So I'm not going to put anything for taste. So your job when you do this part is you're going to look back at your story sketch, really push yourself to see if you can add more sensory details to your story and put them down here. Next part, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your personal narrative and you're going to read it and you're going to think of how you can add these details into your story. So I'm going to do that with you for mine. Have you ever seen a large wild animal while on a camping trip? This is the story of the first time it happened to me. Will and I were walking on a wooden trail at Grover Hot Springs. I smelled the fresh cut wood and thought to myself, this must be a new trail. Well, I have the fresh cut wood that I can smell here, but I didn't add, let's see, I didn't add the earthy pine smell. It's kind of like the two smells were together. So I wonder if I put the earthy pine smell mixed with the fresh cut wood. And I thought to myself, oh, I like that. I'm going to cross this out and I'm going to put a little caret. And I'm going to say the earthy pine smell mixed. Kind of hard to see, but hopefully you can see it. It's a little messy. That's why we're going to do our final copy, right? The earthy pine smell mixed with the fresh cut wood. And I thought to myself, this must be a new trail. I could see lots of trees. Ooh, I didn't put that detail that they were full of pine leaves. I saw lots of trees full of pine leaves. Of green pine. I'm just going to put that. I could see lots of trees full of green pine around me. It was quiet, and all I could hear was our footsteps and the rustling leaves. I'll put a little caret here. And the rustling leaves. Suddenly, I heard a loud thump. What was that, I wondered? I looked at the forest floor and saw a pine cone that had fallen. I heard birds. Oh, I remember I said loud, angry birds. I heard loud, angry birds. Use my caret here. I heard loud, angry birds yelling squawk, squawk as they flew away. In front of Will and I was a gnarly old tree. Trying to make it so that you can see my writing a little better. It's a little soft. It had a long branch shooting out, and I could see a creature climbing on it. I looked closely and couldn't believe my eyes. There was a brown bear cub. Ooh, I'm going to add furry. There was I didn't even fit it here, a furry brown bear cub staring at me. I felt my heart beating in my chest. I turned to Will and gasped, "Is that a bear?" I pointed to the creature in the tree. "No way," Will replied. As we stared, I could see another furry brown bear cub. Wow, it is a bear cub. There's even another one, I exclaimed. It looked like they were clawing at and eating something in the tree. I was fascinated by seeing such special animals. I felt like I was in a nature documentary. Will and I looked at each other again, and I could tell we were thinking the same thing. Where's the mom bear? I think we should leave, Will said. We calmly turned around and headed back to our campsite. Okay, second grade. So you're going to do steps here, and then you're going to go back to your personal narrative and add those sensory details into your story.